Hello and welcome back. In this section, we will be talking about the accounting for accruals and prepayments in QuickBooks Online. Let us begin by looking at the prepayments. So, a prepayment is a payment made in advance covering several future accounting periods. For example, we have paid the rent for several years in advance. That will be called a prepayment. Let us take an example. Let us say on 1st of January 2025, we had paid 24,000 GBPs as 2-year rent for our premises. Now, even though you are paying it in 2025, it doesn't mean you can charge the full rent for 2 years to 2025. Since it is for 2 years, you are legally required to split this rent over the 2-year period, which means that you should be charging 12,000 for 2025 and 12,000 for 2026. Now this is absolutely okay from legal perspective because financial reporting, the reports that we prepared, the income statement and the balance sheet, that is prepared annually for the external users like bank and shareholders. But we also know that the accounting that we do is also a very good resource for our own planning and decision making. We do check our profit and loss statement regularly to know what is happening in our business. So, charging the full rent of the year in any month like January or December will not be fair. We will rather have to split this rent even within a year, and actually our accounting should look like this, that we are spreading this rent of 2 years on each month in this 2 year, and from 2025 January to December 2026 each month should be charged a rent of £1,000. Now that looks quite a lot of work, but QuickBooks will make it really easy for us. Now first of all, let us focus on what we are going to do. We are going to follow this approach of monthly expense rather than this annual one. So let me get rid of that. Let us focus only on this one. So how the accounting will look like? First of all, when you have paid this rent, this transaction here will be recorded as a prepayment, and this will be an asset shown in the balance sheet. Let me explain you. Just because I have paid my rent in January does not mean the full expense has incurred. This is a payment for the advance, and since this is something that is beneficial for the upcoming future periods, this will be treated as an asset. So rather than expense, this 24,000 will go to the balance sheet as a prepayment, and then later on in each month we will be recording a rent expense of £1,000 that will be going to the profit and loss statement, and against that rent expense £1,000 will be reduced from this prepayment asset from the balance sheet. Now if you don't understand this last accounting part, please do not worry about it. QuickBooks will handle this for you. So let us now dive into the QuickBooks and let us see how we are going to record this transaction and how we are going to record this transaction, and even more importantly, how we are going to automate these 24 entries in one go rather than posting it every single month. So let us do it now. So let's navigate to QuickBooks Online and first record this payment of £24,000 in advance. Now here in QuickBooks, before I do this entry, let me first show you the profit and loss on 1st of January. You can see we do not have any income or expense here. And also let me show you the balance sheet, and you can see that on 1st of January, take a look at here, you do not have anything in your current assets as prepayments. So now let's go to the dashboard and let's start recording the first transaction, that is the payment of £24,000 in advance. Now let's click on new and now click on expense. I know you are thinking that why record expense, we have to record prepayment. Well, let me show you how we will use this expense form to actually record the prepayment. So click on that, and now here in this form, in this category part here, rather than choosing any of the expense account, we will rather look for the prepayments account. You can see here, and this is other current asset account. So we will select this one. So even though we are using the expense form, we are using the prepayments account, which means that we will be recording this transaction as a prepayment. Now let us enter all other things as well. So first of all, in the payee, I would say that my payee in this case is United Properties. So let me enter the United Properties, and now let us save that. Now let us enter all other details as well. For example, the payment account, I would say this is Barclays. Now even though I do not have balance in Barclays account on this particular date, that is 1st of January, but I will ignore that point for a moment. I will later on insert some money into the Barclays for this date from the owners fund, but please ignore this part. I'm just mentioning it because Barclays balance will go negative. Just don't worry about it. And now let us enter all other details. And these fields are optional. The payment method, the dentist, the class, all of these are not mandatory, so we can ignore that. But let us take a look at liquidation. Now of course, we are entering this rent for some liquidation, or maybe for all the liquidations combined together. So we should be allocating it to the right liquidation, even though this is just a qualitative field, but let's make sure we are doing it rightly. So I would say add new, because this is not relevant to any particular liquidation, rather it is for all liquidations. So I will just click on add new, and I would say all liquidations, and then click on save, and then this is selected automatically. And then let us enter some description here. I would say rent for 2024 and 2025. The amount is £24,000, and now all we got to do is to click on save and close. And now system is giving me warning that you have already closed the date. So if you want to enter this transaction, really you should be entering the password. I will just do that, and my transaction has been recorded. Now let us go to the profit and loss statement and refresh this, and you can see no income or expense here. So even though we have recorded that prepayment, nothing is coming to profit and loss. So why? Because this is only for income and expenses, and the prepayment is a current asset, that is not an expense. Now let's go to the balance sheet, and before I refresh, please take a look at here. There is no prepayment appearing here in the balance sheet currently. Let us refresh the page now. And you can now see a prepayment of 24,000 appearing in your balance sheet on the 1st of January. So this is a current asset. And now let's talk about the second part of this prepayment transaction, and that is at the end of each month we have to record 1,000 as an expense, rent expense, and as a result of that, this prepayment should also be getting reduced by 1,000. So we have to record this part of the entry now. So if I now take you to QuickBooks Online and show you the profit and loss statement at the end of the month, you will see that currently there is no rent expense for that 1,000. This rent expense is coming from something different that we have already recorded, but we have to record £1,000 now. Similarly, if I take you to the balance sheet and show you at the end of the month, you will see that your rent, your prepayment is still appearing at 24,000. So the recording of expense will not happen automatically. We have to basically do that setting in QuickBooks Online so that it can happen for the first time, and then it can automatically run for the remaining 24 months. For that, let's go to the QuickBooks Online, and again let us go to the expense. Now here, first of all, the expense that we are going to record is for rent, so I will select that. Here you can see we have the rent expense account, but the second important thing is this rent expense will now not be getting paid from any bank account, rather it will be getting paid from the prepayments account, or you can say against this prepayment account. So who we are paying to? Well, we are actually paying to nobody in this case. So what I will do is I will rather add a new payee here, and we will name it as amortization of prepayment. So basically, amortization means spreading the prepayment over the period. So you can name it like that. I'm doing it just to make sure that we are not seeing unnecessary transactions when we open the supplier ledger of United Properties. So I will just click on save. And now let us enter all other details. For the date, we will choose the end of the month. And then for locations, we know this is going to be all locations. Dentist and class is not relevant here. Let us enter the description, that is rent for January 24. The amount is 1000, and then just click on save and close. We got to enter the password, we know that already, and the payment has been recorded. Now let us go to the profit and loss statement. This is the profit and loss before refreshing. Rent is 300. Let us refresh that. The rent is now 1300. That 1000 has been posted. And let us go to the balance sheet, and you can see that before refreshing, the prepayment stands at 24,000. Let us refresh that. And the prepayments is now 23,000 pounds only. So we have recorded the amortization of rent for the month of January, but let me tell you, you just have recorded 1 month, and if we do it like that manually, we will have to do it at the end of each month for the next 24 months as well. So we need to find a way to automate this entry. Let us explore that in the next lecture. In the previous lecture, we have recorded the prepayment itself, and we have also recorded its amortization for the month of January 24. Now in this lecture, we got to record it for the remaining months as well, but rather than recording individually, we will rather automate that part. Now first of all, let us navigate to the transaction of amortization that we have just recorded, and we can do that by going to the history. So let's click here. And now to automate that for the remaining months, we will be going to this make recurring option. But the problem with this is we cannot make the recurring transaction, automatically repeating transaction like this for the previous months. So right now I am in the month of June. Today the date is 12th of June, and I have recorded one transaction for January. For February, March, April and May, for these 5 months, I cannot do this recurring part here because it does not work in the past. It can only work for the future. So I will then automate June onwards all the remaining 18 transactions, but I still have to manually do the entry for the remaining 5 months from February to May. But of course we cannot do that one by one, that will be quite time taking. So what we can rather do is we can click here on more, and we can click on copy, and system will copy all the data from here, and I will use that data to make that entry for February. But we have to make this entry for Feb, March, April and May. So rather than this, let me try something even faster. Let me right click, and you can see system has no option to open this in new tab. So what I will rather do is I will copy this URL. Now I will use this screen for February entry, this for March, this for April and this for May. So let me go back to the first one. Let me click here on copy. I just need to change the date and make it February end. So I will apply 28th of February. Click on save and close. Let me go here. Let me go to the copy option, and then let me choose the date of March end. That is it. Just save and close. Next tab, more, copy the date of April end and save and close. Next tab, copy and then date of May and save and close. And all 5 entries have been made. And now let me close all these tabs, they are no more needed. Let me go back to the home page and click here and see if all 5 entries have been made: January, February, March, April and May. Let me also quickly show you the profit and loss statement and the balance sheet at the end of the May. So here at the end of the May, I should be able to see the rent expense of 5,000 plus 3,000 that was recorded earlier somewhere. So you can see that now the rent is 5,300, and just like that, if I go to balance sheet and run that at the end of May, I should be able to see that out of my 24,000 prepayment, now 5,000 should have been amortized for 5 months and the balance should only be 19,000 pounds. Now with this we have completed the first part, that is to record this amortization manually for the previous months, and now from June onwards I can do the automation because that is the future transaction. So I will just go to any of them. Let me click here and open one of the amortization transactions. And now on this screen, first of all, we will give our template a name. System has automatically given it amortization of prepayment. I will call it amortization of prepaid rent just to make it different from any other prepayment if we may have. Then we have to choose a type that can be scheduled or reminder. In case of reminder, system will remind you and you will be posting this entry yourself. So I would rather go with scheduled so that system can make the entry itself. I will come back here in a moment. First let me show you this part, the interval part. What should be the frequency of this transaction? I would say in our case it should be monthly, and then I would say that it should be posted on the last day of every single month. You can also explore these options. For example, if you choose this one first, it will ask you first what, then the situation here will be that it can be Monday, Tuesday. So I will rather choose this option, go for day and the last day of every 1 month. Now here you can basically skip a month. So for example, if I say every 2 months, then system will skip a month and then post entry in a month and then skip a month. So I will rather go with every 1 month. In my case that is applicable. Then system is asking you that from which date it should start. So I would say it should start from 30th of June, till May we have already done our recordings. And then system is asking you that should it keep posting every single month or should it stop somewhere. So I would say yes, it should stop by, and then the date of that is going to be 2026 December 31st, and at this date system should stop making this recurring entry. You can also choose the number of entries that should be posted. You can do that by going here in the after option, and then you will say that after this many occurrences, in our case 18 occurrences, stop making the entry. But in my case I'm happy to do it this way, that please stop it here at 2026 December. And then we can skip all these details, we have already seen that. By the way, this should be adjusted for every single month. So rather here I will make the description a generic one so that we don't have to come and add it every single time. We just did a small mistake that we did not edit it for the February, March, April and May. You may like to do that now, but anyway, this is just a description field, so not that important. So I will just click on save template. So the recurring transaction has been saved, and every single month on the last day as per our instruction, system will be repeating this entry itself. The rent expense will be recorded and the prepayment balance and the balance sheet will be reduced. Now I can't see the reports here because it is not going to run until the 30th of June. But if you like to see that in action, you may temporarily like to run it on the next day of the day you are working so that you can actually see it happening yourself. But anyway, we can trust the system that it will be doing the remaining job, and we can verify that at the end of the month. So that is all that we have to do. We have to record our initial prepayment. We have seen how do we do that. And then we have to record the expenses, the prepayment to be transferred to expense for the months that have already passed. And then we have to make that recurring for the remaining months. That's how we handle prepayments in QuickBooks Online. I hope you have found it easy and interesting.